Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Idea Gen Global Podcast with George Sifakis.
I'm George Sifakis. In a world overflowing with noise, there is one forum where the world's smartest voices connect, where visionaries sit at the same table as innovators, and great minds don't just talk, they act.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
The Larry Kudlow Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
My pal Peter Schweitzer, who's the president of the Government Accountability Institute, got himself a new book out. It's called The Invisible Coup, How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. Just chock full of stuff. Peter, welcome. Glad you could make it. A lot of this is about Mexico. I'm reading this stuff. Mexico reclaiming their territory. Would you help me on this? What we Mexicans are reclaiming our territory? This was AMLO, the former president. Scheinbaum, the new president, is his protege. California, Nevada, Texas, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado, Wyoming. Really? What is this all about?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, Larry, until you realize that this is something that the Mexican leadership has been talking about for a while. And it's the idea that through mass migration, they are exerting some sovereign control in the United States. And with that sovereign control, they are going to, in effect, reclaim or reconquista the territories they lost in the 19th century. And again, you would think this might be a kooky theory, except literally in the book, there's dozens of quotes from senior officials doing it. And they're backing it up. It's not just bravado. They have done a number of things to try to radicalize and politicize migrants in the United States. They have this thing they started in 2024 called Migrant TV, Migrante TV. It's funded by the Mexican government. They direct it, control it. It's all propaganda, specifically targeted at Mexicans and Latin Americans living in the United States here. And it's, of course, in 2024, very strongly anti-Trump, very pro-Kamala Harris. But it also, in the current climate, is radically anti-ICE, calls them fascists and Nazis, things like that. Again, this is funded by the Mexican government. But they also have their consulates. They have 53 consulates in the United States. Great Britain and China have 6 and 7, respectively. And they get involved in our politics. And I name some of the government officials living in the United States who are organizing these protests and carrying out political action. So they mean it, and what I'm suggesting here is we need to start looking at immigration through the same lens they do. Understand what their goals and motivations are with mass immigration and how they're trying to radicalize those that are in the United States.
And so that's the invisible coup.
Yes, it's an invisible coup in the sense that what we know is that there has been mass migration to the United States. What we're not aware of is that it's actually with a purpose by these foreign actors. The desire is, in their words, again, this is not me saying it, they see it as a transformative force that is going to change America. And this is the reason, for example, why President Scheinbaum of Mexico, she plays a song at a lot of her official events. The song is called We Are More American. And what the lyrics say is that we Mexicans are more American than the gringos and the Anglo-Saxons, that they took this territory from us. So Mexico is a big part of it. Of course, China also has its own methodology, the Muslim Brotherhood and others. They're weaponizing immigration, which is different than just normal immigration.
Well, it's interesting, Peter. You don't hear much, really anything about what you're talking about just this month. I mean, you think of Mexico, okay, so we think of fentanyl, and we think of illegals, of course, and we do think of China sometimes in terms of trade. They sell their cheap goods to Mexico, which then resells them to the United States, and they get underneath the tariff laws and so forth. Yes. Yeah. But the cartels and all the rest of it. But you don't hear this stuff, which is why it's so interesting to me and why I think this is going to be a very important book. I mean, nobody talks about, I don't hear the president. I mean, I don't know if he's aware of this or if you've spoken to him, but, this sounds like a threat. I mean, here's another one, from Breitbart, textbook hate. How Mexico floods the U.S. with anti-American textbooks to indoctrinate kids from L.A. to Orlando. Well, what's up with that?
Yeah, so, we've got the Mexican government believes there's 39.9 million Mexicans living in the United States. A large chunk of them are here illegally. Their children are enrolled in our schools, and, they don't speak English. And so the Mexican government, out of the kindness of their heart, I'll say that with irony, says to school districts from Los Angeles to Orlando, Florida, hey, we'll give you our Mexican textbooks so the kids can learn in Spanish. You can get them to learning English, but they'll learn Spanish. And so these school districts accept these textbooks. Well, we actually looked at the textbooks, and let's just say they have a very, very, very different view of American history, American society, et cetera. And we're all used to kind of the stories of textbooks and college textbooks and how radical they are. They're nothing compared to this. I mean, this is all about the United States is the enemy. The United States is the aggressor. The United States needs to be punished. And this is being offered in schools in the United States to these migrants. And I actually quote one Mexican official who says that really the textbooks are not just about educating kids. They're part of what he calls, quote unquote, greater Mexico. And that is extending the cultural and the political reach of Mexico into the United States. Now, Larry, you mentioned the cartels. The cartels are part of this too, in that the cartels have extended their tentacles into the United States, not just with the drug trade, but with their political activism. They are starting to meddle in American politics because there's two things that the drug cartels primarily want. One, they want open borders because they actually make a lot more money from human smuggling under open borders than they do from actually selling drugs. But the second thing they want is they don't want any military operations against drug cartels in Latin America. And so what's happened, Larry, is there was a group formed in 2018 by Bernie Sanders called Progressive International. It's headed by his former foreign affairs advisors. His staff participates, AOC, Congressman Craig Zazar, a whole group of progressive Democrats are involved in this organization, which is designed to bring together progressives from Latin America with those from North America. Well, what could go wrong? What goes wrong is, as I point out and name in the book, about 33%, a third of the senior leadership of this organization have direct ties to the drug cartel. And this organization is pushing those two things. Number one, open borders. Number two, and the military assault on drug cartels in Latin America. So it is a problem that is seeping into our politics. Sealing the border, enormous success by the president, but there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
The name of the new book from Peter Schweitzer is The Invisible Coup, How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. We love to sell books on radio, and this one's going to be a honey of a book. Are they involved in political campaigns? You mentioned Bernie Sanders and these cartel people. I mean, this is not something you hear much about either. They actually get involved in politics, American politics?
Yeah, yes, they are getting involved in American politics. The people who've really perfected this, by the way, are the Chinese. The Chinese, there's a visa program called the EB-5 program in the United States. I think the intentions from people that passed it were good. You invest $1 million in the United States, you create some jobs, you get permanent resident status. This bill was passed back in 1991. Well, when you look at the history, you realize that there's one individual who was key in getting this piece of legislation passed. Her name was Maria Tsai. Turns out, 10 years later, the U.S. Senate outs her as a Chinese spy. So this piece of legislation was basically put together by a Chinese spy. And what's happened is, Larry, Chinese businessmen now dominate this. More than 90% of the permanent resident visas coming through this program go to Chinese. And here's the thing. They get permanent resident status in the United States, but they don't live here. They continue to live in China. And so the question is why would they do that? Why would they want permanent resident status? One of the reasons is if you have permanent resident status in the United States, you can legally donate to political campaigns.
Oh, huh.
And they have done it in mass. We're talking at tens of millions of dollars. I name a lot of the donors in the book. It's completely legal to do. It breaks 80 to 20 Democrat Republican. But it's a way of infusing our politics with foreign money legally, which I think is a huge, huge problem in terms of the decision making we get out of Washington.
So, stepping back for a minute, so the president has effectively closed the border.
Yeah.
All right. A good thing. A damn good thing. So, but now you're saying more work has to be done. I mean, it may not be an illegal immigrant thing now. They're using other avenues and more sophisticated, it sounds to me. Schools and propaganda and politics. I mean, they're already here. I love that. What did you say? 53 consulates? That's an extraordinary number for Mexico. But so we have to, you got to alert people to this. I mean, this is the closing of the border thing is good. It's great, but more work needs to be done.
Yeah. What we need to recognize is that you seal the border, it prevents more people from coming in, and we're getting some deportations of criminals, et cetera, which is good. But you have these political networks operating in the United States. And I tell you, a big problem, we've got this birthright citizenship case that's going to be held before the Supreme Court in the spring. What people don't realize about this problem, Larry, is that China has created an industrial scale a program to mint U.S. citizens. So what do I mean? Well, birthright citizenship, you're pregnant, you come to the United States, you give birth, you take your child back to China. That child, even though it's spent maybe 3 days here, is a U.S. citizen because it was born here. When they turn 18, they're going to be able to vote. China believes, their estimate is more than 1 million U.S. citizens are living in China right now that are going to be able to do this.
My Lord. Well, thank you. We're running out of time. The Invisible Coup, How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon by the great Peter Schweitzer. Book is out now. And, Peter, thank you ever so much. We appreciate it. Folks, we will take a break. And then on the other side, we'll do some stock market work. I'm Kudlow. Please stay with us.
Thanks for listening to The Larry Kudlow Show. You can hear The Larry Kudlow Show Saturday mornings at 10. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.